Hi, this is Roger in Finland, and today I'm making my personal wishlist for the potentially, possibly, who knows, upcoming Sony A7 IV. So for the impatient ones, the A7 IV should be clearly an upgrade from the A7 III. So the first thing to improve is those silly flaps that it had. It seems that they know how to do that better nowadays, so that should be the first physical difference. I would hope that it would have a new 26 to 30 somewhere there megapixels sensor, because maybe it's time to upgrade the one that it was in that camera. I would like that it would do 4K 60 10-bit. It could be doing 420 internally and 422 externally. Wouldn't be that picky with that. Then that it would have a flip out screen. Sony proved that they can do it. They know how to do it. And then improve stabilization. And with these things on top of what the A7 III was already doing, I might consider going back to Sony full frame. Since the release of the FX6 and afterwards the A7S III and the FX3, I've been wishing for Sony to make a Super 35 smaller brother of the FX3. I think that would have been great. I was also kind of hoping that maybe they would release an A7000, which would be the APS-C smaller brother of the A7S III. But those things I don't see happening. What I think it's more likely that would happen is that they would make the A7 IV. I guess it's a matter of time. And now with the release of the new Tamron 35 to 150 f2 to 2.8 lens, which I believe that it's perfect for me, I'm excited again about Sony mirrorless full frame cameras, and that's why I'm making this wishlist for the A7 IV. And yes, I know that the A7S III fulfills all the requirements that I have been talking in the section for the impatient ones, but it is 4,300 euros, and that's a lot of money. So what I'm hoping is that the A7 series without the R and without the S will keep the price a little bit above the 2,000 euro mark, as the A7 III was before. And that's why I'm also okay of cutting some of the specs from the A7S III to maybe shave those couple of thousand euros with 1 year of development extra since the A7S III was released, and something that should be possible. So, because my wish is for this 2,300 euro camera, which would be the A7 IV, it's mostly taking the A7S III and cutting some things away. Maybe we'll use that one as a comparison and watch things I could live without, or I wouldn't mind if they are less. The main difference that would be not cutting thing would be the sensor. So we have a 12 megapixel sensor in the A7S III, which is the video focused low light piece from Sony. Then we have the 61 megapixel in the A7R series, which is definitely the photography high resolution camera from the A7 lineup. And then the A1 is the massive beast that does everything twice. And the A9, which is the sports camera. So talking about the A7 III, the sensor should be somewhere in the between in terms of performance and resolution between the S line and the R line. So I would expect and hope for a new sensor that would be somewhere between 26 to 30 megapixels. That should allow us to have a 6K downsample to 4K, so excellent quality, and potentially have a cropped Super 35 mode to use APS-C lenses, which there's plenty great ones. That would give us a just windowed sensor mode without any line skipping or anything like that. So it would have both the 4K full frame and the 4K Super 35 with really good quality. Then there is the screen. I would definitely like a flippy screen. In general, I like a little bit more the flip up when it comes to form factor of a camera, but I'm well aware that with the placement, and I think it should be there, and it should be a really good one of a electronic viewfinder, then a flip up is not a practical solution, so flip out screen is good enough. They know how to do it. They have released the ZV-1, now the ZV-E10, and before that the A7S III, so they know how to do it, they can do it. Please put it here because the A7 III will be the hybrid camera between the photography-centric high-resolution R series and then the video production S series, and I think it will be definitely more targeted for content creators that would like to live in the full-frame world. That screen should also be touchscreen, not just because the A7S III has it, but so that they compete with other brands that have been doing this for the last 5 years. It's a bit silly that Sony has only the touchscreen for the touch to focus and the touch to track, but you cannot navigate through the menus. So please keep us a touchscreen. I know you can. Then when it comes to media, the A7S III and the FX3, both of them have that dual purpose card slot that accepts these new fancy cards in addition to SD UHS2. And I think that's something that would be okay, that they cut it a little bit from the A7 IV. So I'm totally okay with just 2 slots, which would be both of them UHSs2. Then video specs, I was talking before about the resolution and the cropping Super 35 mode. But when it comes to frame rates, the A7S III goes up to 4K 120. So we don't need that. We can live just fine and happily so at 4K 60. We could get 10-bit, that at the moment you can only get it either in the cinema line or in the A7S III. So that would be the next leap for Sony in full frame, or actually in APS-C also. And I would put it in competition with, again, cameras that do exist and have done this for a while, like the X-T4 from Fuji or the Panasonic G9 or GH5. So please just give us the 10-bit. Many of those other cameras have the limitation of 10-bit is only if you're recording externally, or 422 is only if recording externally. So 4K 60 10-bit 422 would be fantastic and go leaping over the APS-C and Micro Four Thirds competition. But if there are some of those limitations, I think we could live with them. The autofocus, I'm not gonna wish for much. Please, Sony, keep on doing what you're doing. It was great already in the A7 III. It's great in the A6400. It's great in the Sony ZV-1. I'm pretty sure that the A1, A9, A7S III are even better. So just keep up with your own development. I'm not worried about that. The IBIS is something that has been a weakness for Sony if you compare it to other brands. So Panasonic and Olympus have been much better at having the in-body image stabilization. So that's something to improve. I believe that the A7S III, it's already an improvement of that. And the combination of the IBIS with the active stabilization, which is the digital process that crops a little bit on the image, they get it in a pretty decent level. So it would be nice that the A7 IV would have at least that level of stabilization. And when it comes to picture profiles, we're getting S-Log2, S-Log3, even with the Sony ZV-1, the compact camera. If we would get 10-bit, we would get even more out of these profiles, S-Log and S-Log3. And then, of course, in the A7S III, you get the Cinetone profiles, which are either in the cinema line or in the A7S III. So maybe that's another trim that they could keep as the premium S line of the A7 cameras and the cinema cameras. And we are okay without it in the A7 IV. And I don't think that my requirements are all that crazy. One of the main reasons why I'm excited again about Sony full frame is lens selection, which is usually one of the biggest things for me of choosing or getting into and out of any system. And right now, that new Tamron 35 to 150 f2 to f2.8 sounds the perfect lens for me because it covers the focal lengths that I use the most. All of them, my favorite focal length, plus it's a fast zoom, faster than most. And that lens paired with this A7 IV that I'm listing here of my wish list would be a package that would be really, really, really exciting for me. I think I would sell a ton of stuff that I have now to cover and buy this kind of package, but let's see what happens. The rumors have been not too encouraging. So we got the ZV-1, we got the ZV-E10, last year we got the A7S III and the FX3. During this year and these times, there are challenges of electronics companies in general with providers of materials and components. At least in the beginning of the year, they were rumoring that the A7 IV might be delayed already at that point due to lack of components. So let's see if they will be able to deliver such a camera even during this year. But if not, I made my wish list. And I might make another one when Christmas time comes. But are you expecting an A7 IV? Do you agree with some of the items of my wish list? Is there something that you would like to add? Is there something you don't care and you would like to take away? And let's remember that this is just a wish list. It's not an expectation, but it would be nice if it happens. And that's it for today. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. And we're gonna see you soon for some more content.